My name's Alan Reynolds. We're going to be, like we said, spending a little bit of time together this afternoon looking at asset management with Jira Service Desk. So a little bit about me. I joined RightStar as a pre-sale system consultant going on 4 years ago now, and have more than 20 years experience or so in the IT consulting and solution implementation spaces. And the last 15 years or so of that in the ITSM spaces. And I'm also ITIL Foundation certified and have been for years. So hopefully what we're doing today is right in my wheelhouse, especially since I'm also a certified Atlassian Jira Service Desk Administrator. So just from a way of agenda, I want to mention again, we're going to be recording this like Dick mentioned, so we'll be sending that out to you later. And again, if you have questions as I go along, feel free to post those in the Q&A box. So I just wanted to say a little bit about Atlassian. So Atlassian, the vendor that provides the software we're going to look at today, was a fairly unknown company until they went public a few years ago. They're a $650 million company now with 2,500 employees. And at last count, more than 90,000 of the organizations, individual discrete organizations, were using Atlassian software, including 80 of the Fortune 100. So Atlassian, what they provide is a full purpose-built suite of software, but that suite is modularized for ease of use and flexibility, and then combined together to make up a really well thought-out solution that can support your organization from DevOps all the way through IT service management. Now, the various pieces of that solution, Jira Software and Confluence and Bitbucket and Bamboo and Jira Service Desk, all make that end-to-end solution. But we're going to focus today specifically on the Jira Service Desk piece, and I'll mention a few other things as we go along. So, around teams, so teams of all teams of all shapes and sizes have really transformed the way that they deliver IT services using Jira Service Desk. To give their customers a really excellent experience. In fact, since Jira Service Desk launched about 5 years ago, more than 25,000 teams are using it. Small teams, medium teams, enterprise teams, teams of all sizes. And really the thing that sets Jira Service Desk apart is that effortless user experience, and everyone likes the way that it works and how easy it is to set up. It's been voted or rated rather, I should say, not only easiest to set up and shortest time to set up, but also easiest to maintain among similar solutions. So around ITSM capabilities with Jira Service Desk, or with Atlassian specifically, Service Desk. So Jira Service Desk is purpose-built for those IT and other kinds of service teams that provide everything they need right out of the box, including ITSM workflows for service requests and service incident management and problem management and change management and more. And it gives your customers a way to ask for help and a way for your agents to really resolve incidents and requests faster. So what about ITIL specifically with Service Desk? Can Jira Service Desk be used to support ITIL needs? You bet. So Jira Service Desk has been Pink Verify ITIL certified. So ITIL, as many of you know, is the gold standard around IT teams providing service around the world. It's an integrated set of best practices for delivering IT services to your customers. And really, its ultimate primary objective is to maximize the value to the business by aligning IT resources with business needs. So many customers are adopting Jira Service Desk to help with those organizational ITIL needs. Now, Atlassian knew it was important that the system be ITIL compliant. So several years ago, they worked to get it that way. They achieved ITIL certification with Pink Verify and Axelos for 4 different ITIL processes: for request fulfillment, for incident management, problem management, and change management. So let's take a closer look real quick at some of those. Let's talk in general a little bit about about teams and ITSM. So ultimately, Atlassian thinks of ITSM as a way to serve and build modern IT teams. That's really Atlassian's starting point for everything is the idea of a team. It's even their stock ticker symbol, a TEAM. Really, everything they do is around supporting your teams and working together better and more efficiently to get their jobs done. So starting with collaboration, being able to collaborate seamlessly while driving end-to-end visibility is really the key. And agility, of course, being able to apply principles of Agile as you modernize your ITSM strategies to more align with ITIL 4. And of course, last but not least, just value, being able to realize value and not just efficiency out of the tool. So, what about things that the tool doesn't do out of box? Well, Atlassian provides a rich ecosystem called the Atlassian Marketplace, where Atlassian themselves and other Atlassian partners provide pre-built add-ons and integrations. And there's hundreds of those available that are compatible with Jira Service Desk to help you extend the power of Jira Service Desk even more by offering analytics and customer workflows and so on and so forth. One of those most popular Jira Service Desk integrations in the marketplace is Insight Asset Management for Jira. And Insight is what provides that enterprise asset management ability to allow you to maintain and control your IT assets in Jira. And can even include automation to update assets with the Insight Discovery tool. So we'll be looking a little bit at the insight around that later in the demo today, and I wanted to talk about a little bit about that. So from Service Desk features, really ultimately Service Desk, Jira Service Desk has everything you need to prioritize and resolve things faster, from SLAs to agent queues and the customer portal and more. And there's automation rules and approval workflows that help you also cut down on manual work and help you deliver things faster. So one of those processes we talked about, service request management. Now, IT receives a wide variety of requests from all kinds of customers, and it's really the size and frequency and low-risk nature of these repeatable kinds of requests that make them appropriately handled by a request fulfillment process, and we can do that in Jira Service Desk with service request management. It provides a fast, easy way to implement those service requests, and comes out of box with a workflow for those kinds of service requests that don't need an approval, and a separate workflow comes out of box for those that do. Now, the workflows that come out of box, you can also customize and configure and make changes to, or you can start from scratch with your own because it's a fully configurable system. So incident management, another of those four ITIL certified processes. According to ITIL Incident, really the aim of incident management is to restore any disruption of service as quickly as you can. And Service Desk provides best practice ITIL workflows and fields for doing that right out of box. So it allows you to combine the dynamic power of agent queues and collaboration and proactive SLAs to really give you a service desk that empowers your IT teams. Knowledge management fits in with this as well. So knowledge management is a key part of the ITIL model, providing both customers and staff with correct and up-to-date information. To help support that, Jira Service Desk pairs with another Atlassian solution called Confluence, which is Atlassian's wiki-style collaboration documentation tool to provide the knowledge base so that users can search articles in the customer portal, or maybe more targeted or confidential or technical information could be made available to your support staff in a separate space in Confluence. And that can be playbooks and post-incident reviews and things like that as well that are all supported by Confluence. So problem management, another one of those ITIL processes that the Jira Service Desk tool is certified for, is really about finding the shortest path to restoring normal service. Incident is about restoring that normal, the path to normal service, but problem management is looking beyond that to find the underlying causes of those outages and things that need to be restored. To get the best resolution and prevent future incidents. And Service Desk comes out of box again with a problem management workflow to help you do that. And of course, every IT organization faces challenges of managing a constantly changing set of infrastructure. So ITIL provides a set of best practices for change management as well. It makes it easier for IT teams to prioritize and manage changes effectively while minimizing the risk to the business that the change, inherently represents. So that change management process is also another certified process there, and Service Desk can help you streamline that path to ITIL change management. One thing to note here, again, is Confluence. IT teams can leverage a marketplace app for Confluence called Team Calendars for Confluence. That is an app for Confluence that allows you to visualize Jira issues in a calendar format, and so teams can use that construct as their ITIL forward schedule of changes to help them better plan and coordinate an appropriate time and date to implement a change. So all of those things we just talked about, the incidents and the service requests and problems and changes, really every bit of that is related to objects in your environment, whether that be a laptop or a location or a business service. So it's those items that underlie all of those transactional kinds of things around incidents and problems and changes and service requests. So Insight Asset Management for Jira adds to the system, to the Jira Service Desk system, the ability to relate those configuration items or assets to incidents and service requests and problems and changes, which really helps your staff better understand the impacted systems and services as they work through these transactional events. So every IT organization really has different CMDB needs, but many folks look to Insight Asset Management for Jira to provide that enterprise level sort of customer for enterprise level customers, the ability to meet their asset and configuration management needs. So Insight provides a modern CMDB that allows an IT team to quickly and easily define an asset application and the service structure that best fits their needs. And it offers a great deal of flexibility when compared to other vendors as well, because it's really configurable. And in addition to those sort of flexible schemas to match your business needs, it provides dependency mapping and impact analysis and automation and workflow integration into Jira software and Jira Service Desk. So another tool I wanted to mention here in our quiver is a tool directly from RightStar, actually called Scanstar. Now, RightStar has had the Scanstar product for years. It's a barcode scanning solution. Recently, it has been updated to work with Jira Service Desk. So one of the options we have to help populate and maintain that Insight Asset Management, the CMDB, is Scanstar for Insight Asset Management from RightStar. So Scanstar allows you to record the movement of inventory items from one location to another or one user to another, and then provides a record of all those actions associated with an item throughout its lifecycle. So it does that through 4 different modules of its own. Scanstar has a receive, a module, a track, a verify, and an audit module. So the receiving module is around recording large quantities of equipment upon receipt, maybe on the loading dock or something like that, and doing that quickly and easily. It allows you to enter some common attributes for everything that might be on the pallet or in the box together, and then begin scanning them from barcodes on those items one by one into the system to quickly and easily load your inventory. The tracking module records the movement of inventory items from one location or user to another and provides a record of all that. So for installation or reallocation or movement or repair or deinstallation, those kinds of things. The verification module allows you to do a quick scan of a barcode to reveal all the information about an item that you want to display there in Scanstar. So a scan, you can take a user-applied asset tag or the manufacturer's barcode number on the item and scan them in and be able to pull up very quickly the manufacturer and model and physical location and the organization and person it's related to and so on and so forth. And then the audit module. Scanstar provides the ability to create an audit set of queries that retrieve collections of assets to be audited, which share some common characteristic like location or cost. So maybe you have a query that gets you all of your equipment over $10,000 or a query that shows you all of the things in your Dallas IT data center or something like that, where you could go through using the tool and check off each of those item by item as they're located in the field when you go through an audit. Now, I mentioned Jira Service Desk and Insight are supported by RightStar Scanstar, but there are other ITSM solutions are as well. So, it's an option for you even if you aren't using Atlassian. So there are really some options with the actual scanner itself that are good to talk about. The latest versions of Scanstar now allow you just to use really any mobile device, any Android mobile device version 4.2 or better, or any compatible iOS device. And we even have ruggedized scanners that you could use on the loading dock if folks are doing too much activity there to rely on a mobile device. We've got that option as well. So that's about all the slides I wanted to go through. I think it's time for us to dig into the tool and kind of begin to show you some of this stuff. So let me go ahead and share out my screen here. And I'm going to do that one first. And let's see, I'm going to do one more here, and I'm going to share out there we go. Okay, super. So you should be able to see my screen now. And it's worth noting with Jira Service Desk, what we're here to look at today, really there's two roles. There's an end user role and an agent role that we've been referring to. It's worth noting that the agents are the ones who are licensed in the system, the folks who work tickets. Customers, on the other hand, are a free account in the system. There's no licensing required for them, so you can have as many of those in the system as you need. And customers interact through the customer portal or through email with the system. In the portal, they can search knowledge, and they can submit new issues, and they can find and update their existing issues. Now, agents, on the other hand, are the folks in the system that can do everything else. They can open tickets for other people and transition them along their life cycle and create knowledge-based articles and confer with backline and all those kinds of things. So for our demo perspective today, I wanted to start from the customer side of things and take a look around the customer portal. And then we'll toggle over to the agent side of things and look at things from that perspective. And I want to sort of follow a use case through today where we've got a customer who's requesting some new hardware and kind of see how that will play out in the system. So I've got a demo customer here that I'm going to be using today, Miss Caroline Customer. She's logged into our Jira Service Desk customer portal here where we've got options for logos and colors and branding. I've included a Jira Service Desk logo here and a RightStar logo, but of course those are all configurable, as well as this welcome message here, which could be used to welcome folks to the portal or to provide them information here that they might need on how to use it or who to contact, those kinds of things, if you wanted to add a phone number there, for example. So here in the center of the main landing page on the portal, Caroline can search knowledge. So if she's having some sort of, let's say, network issue, she can type in the word network here and begin to review a set of knowledge base articles that apply to that keyword. So we're in the Jira Service Desk customer portal right now, but as I mentioned, Confluence is used for the knowledge base. So what we're looking at here are hits against a knowledge base space in Confluence where we've matched against 3 articles, and I'll drill down into one of these. And what we're looking at now in the center of the screen here is the actual Confluence article about network issues, where I can have text and graphic and even video-rich knowledge-based articles here. And, Caroline can work through some of these things, and maybe she's able to resolve an issue herself here. She can even provide feedback to the system here at the bottom that has been helpful to her. And maybe doesn't have to submit an issue for the service desk to have to deal with in that case. That feedback that she provides gets rolled up into some reporting we'll take a look at in just a little bit. I wanted to show you, though, here, we also probably need to submit a request as Patsy so we can see that functionality, and we'll make it an asset kind of request to follow our theme for today. So we'll say that Patsy needs a new laptop. She's got one now, but she's got some new job responsibility, and she's got an older laptop that just isn't fast enough or doesn't have the right equipment on it to support her new needs. So she's going to request a new one. Now she could search for laptop, for example, here in the search bar and be presented with knowledge-based articles around how to prepare for a new PC or software. But she also gets some hits down here at the bottom for different request types that she might submit to the service desk to create a new issue for them to review and respond on. So I'll end up choosing here as Caroline this request new hardware option, but I wanted to show you can get there from searching for it here in the search bar, or you could just choose it from the options at the bottom of the screen. And what we have down here is a list of categories of requests down the right and the various request types in those categories. I said right, down the left and down the right are the different requests in those categories. And one neat thing here is that these categories are just labels on those requests. So our request new hardware request type here has a common request label on it, so it shows up under the common request category. It also happens to have a computers label on it, so it shows up under that category as well. So this way of labeling and the categories are a way for you to organize your catalog in a way that folks find things easy to find. However she gets to it, Caroline would drill down into this request, and she could begin to submit a new ticket to IT, or to the service desk, I should say, for this new hardware request. It's worth noting here at this point, though, that there's nothing really hard-coded on my screen. I've decided as an admin in my fictitious demo company here that for hardware requests, we're going to ask our users for a summary of their request and a reason why they need it, and who their manager is, and if they have a device now that they're trying to replace, what that might be. But ultimately, these would be whatever data elements you'd want to gather from your end users when they submit whatever kinds of requests you might want to allow them to submit in your portal. But for today, I'm going to fill out a summary here because we've asked for that. And we'll say, my old one is too slow. You notice as I begin to type here, I get knowledge base article suggestions inside of that request as well. So I can target some knowledge here inside of a request, even based on particular labels on those knowledge base articles, so that maybe inside of a hardware request, I only want to show knowledge that has to do with hardware, for example. We don't need that, so I'll dismiss it. Here I've given a place for Caroline to let us know who her manager is. Now her manager is Mark Manager in this case, and this could be automated or pulled from Active Directory, but I wanted to show you the option here to select an approver. And in this field, I've allowed Caroline to tell us as she begins to fill out this new hardware request if what she's asking for now is really going to replace something she has today. And indeed it is. It is this old Latitude E6500 she's trying to replace. What we have here is a list from our CMDB, from the Insight Asset Management CMDB, of all the items that are related to Caroline. So she can see in her portal only those things that are directly related to her, so she can interact with them in this way. So we'll go ahead and say it's that laptop she wants to replace. And notice an option here at the bottom as well, that we have the option in Jira Service Desk to group customers into what they call organizations. Now that organization construct is really used for one purpose. It's to allow folks to share tickets in the portal with other people in their organization. So as Patsy submits this new request for a laptop, she might keep this private to herself since this is her laptop, or she might choose to share this with her organization that I've called Acme, if maybe this is a request for her team, or maybe she's going to be out of the office for a few days or something like that and wants to have somebody else be able to keep up with that. So once I fill out that request, I'm going to click Create here to create that new request, and Caroline's brought to a view of that request where she can see it's now waiting on approval and all of the data she provided, and she can see that Mark's the one that's going to need to approve that. Now, we mentioned folks can search knowledge and submit new issues in the portal. The other thing that they can do is find and update their existing issues, and they do that from the Request button here at the top. So Patsy can see anything that she's submitted here, or anything shared with her organization, or if you enable it, anything shared directly with her by email address or username. And all these will get her down to a list of previously submitted requests that she can review. And she can search by status, or who created it, or a particular request type maybe, or a keyword. So maybe she wants to search for that laptop request. She can drill right back down into that request and get right back where she was when she submitted it, in case she wants to review what's happened here, or in this case, maybe comment. Maybe she forgot to tell us, I need this ASAP or something like that. So in that way, Caroline can have a conversation in line in comments with the assigned approver or the assigned agent, and all that's documented right there on the ticket. So let me leave that customer experience where we've been logged in as Caroline here in my Firefox browser, and I want to toggle over to the agent side of things, and we'll see how agents can view that request. So here in my Chrome browser, I'm logged in as myself, and an agent, when they log into Jira, initially lands on a dashboard. Now I'm going to refresh this one so we can see that new activity that Caroline just did. So we can see right from an activity stream gadget here on my dashboard that Caroline submitted this new issue. Now, ultimately, a dashboard is just a collection of these gadgets that are visual representations of things in the system. So we've got this activity stream one I mentioned. Here's one with some quick links to different things in the system you might want, a list of things assigned to me, a pie chart, a heat map, a two-dimensional filter here that counts up tickets by ticket type across different assignees, and we can drill down into each one of those to see which tickets are assigned. A list of things about to miss their SLAs, and up here at the top, one that I've created here in my system as sort of a fictitious way to get information out to my demo company here. This one shows some records that are information I want my agents to know about a voice service outage we're having today, and a link to our shift pass down log, and some information about a team outing this week, and a link to our lunch menu, just as some ideas. Ultimately, there are dozens of gadgets you can add to a dashboard and configure them to show just what you want. And you can have as many of these dashboards as you want. So you can have one for yourself that's tailored for your own needs, or a manager can create one that he shares with all of the folks on his team, or an admin can create some for everyone in her company to share together. So you can manage that any way you'd like. And any of them have this cool option to view the dashboard as a wall board. Now that'll take those gadgets and put them on a black background and scroll through page by page until you get back to the beginning, and it'll start over. So if you have a TV in a conference room, or in a hallway, or L1 support room, or somewhere that you want to show statistics from the system, that's a really easy out-of-box way to do that. So once an agent would glean whatever information they need here from the dashboard when they come in, they would begin to work on tickets maybe. And I could drill right down into this ticket that Caroline just submitted right here from this activity stream if I wanted to. But I want to go show you the project that contains all of those. So Jira is organized into records they call issues, and they're grouped into containers they call projects, and every project can have its own portal. So I'm going to choose this project I've called ITSM creatively, which is paired up with the portal Patsy was using, and so all of her tickets have come into this project. When I initially come to a Jira Service Desk project as an agent, I'm brought to my list of queues. And queues are a way in Service Desk that you slice and dice the work that needs to be done. They're fully configurable. They can be show tickets by team or by status. They could do it by location. It could do it by urgency or SLA. Ultimately, any way you want to configure it. The idea is to get you down to a list of tickets that need to be worked. So I've got one queue here showing those same 4 agent broadcasts from that dashboard we just looked at, or a list of unassigned issues or changes or service requests, or in this case, maybe just everything that's open. We can see that one that Caroline just submitted is at the top of this particular queue. So I'll drill down into this as an agent, and I'll go ahead and minimize this sidebar for us so we get a little more room. And what we notice, first of all, is that as an agent, I can see a lot more information than Patsy could see in the portal. We had limited, Caroline in the portal. We had limited Caroline's view to just a few data elements there, but as an agent, I can see a whole lot more. One of the things I can see here is that her request new hardware request type on the back end really maps us to an issue type here of a service request with approvals. Now, every Jira issue will have a type. Every ticket's going to have a type. And it's always the type of issue that determines the workflow and the behavior of that issue. And you can always see the workflow that an issue will go through by clicking the View Workflow link when you're viewing the issue as an agent. Now, a workflow is really just a collection of states that an issue can be in and all of the allowed transitions between those. And these are fully configurable. I mentioned a few of these come out of box for specific already approved ITIL workflows, but you can make changes to those if you want or create brand new ones. You've got full flexibility to do that in the tool. In this case, I've got some statuses linked together, and I can see what happens when I come in from a new status. I begin in this status of waiting. From when I'm first created, I come in from non-existent to a first status of waiting for approval. Now, one of the things we can do with these workflows is limit who can make the transitions to new statuses by requiring that be locked down to certain individuals or users or groups. So, for example, this decline or approve transition, we want to lock down so that maybe not anybody can do that. In this case, we've done that. We'll notice in a moment. Another thing you can do with workflows is determine what data has to be in what format to make these transitions. So what fields are required upon resolving an issue or upon canceling an issue or those sorts of things that you need to gather new data along the way. And then what happens on those transitions? Do I want to notify somebody by email? Do I want to update a field? Maybe using an app from the Atlassian Marketplace? Do I want to automatically create a related issue or a subtask or something like that? So I'd like to take my first step here on this new ticket from Caroline as an agent, but I don't have a way to move this forward because we're waiting for Mark to approve that. So I'm going to leave my Chrome browser here where I'm logged in as myself and go to my third browser here, my Internet Explorer browser, where I'm logged in as Mr. Mark Manager. Now, Mark can do all the same stuff in his portal that Caroline can do. He can search knowledge and submit issues and find and update his existing issues. If all he needs to do is that stuff and be an approver, he can do every bit of that in the portal without a license. So he can get to his approvals list here from his list of requests at the top of his portal, and he can drill down into this laptop request that Patsy gave us, and he can review and maybe have the comments back and forth to confirm. But we'll go ahead and say he's approved this request for her. That gets marked so that he can see it was approved, and Patsy can see that from her, or Caroline can see that from her view as well. But now back on my agent interface, I'm ready here to see that Mark has approved, and I can begin working on this. So let's move this into progress as an agent now, and I'll try to fulfill this request for Patsy. We'll assign it to me, and I'll go ahead and choose to include a canned response here I've got in my system that I've called my initial response, just to let Caroline I've got this, and I'll be back with her. And I'll go ahead and move this to in progress. Now, at this point, I would want to go leave my desk here where I've been working and go to our equipment room and find a new laptop for Patsy. So we'll pretend like I'm doing that, and this is where I want to show you the Scanstar application. So one thing to note here is how it's integrated and works with Insight. So what I can see on my ticket here is that Patsy has specified this is the device she had. Caroline has specified this is the device she has today she's replacing. Right here from the ticket, I could even drill right into that CMDB item over in my CMDB as a one-step right from the ticket. But I want to show you here that once Insight is installed in your system, you'll have this option to get to your Insight menu where you can get to any of the CMDBs you have in your environment. Now, I've got a few for different use cases, but I'm going to focus on this one I've called CMDB, which is sort of a traditional ITIL CMDB. You'll notice here I've got different hosts and asset details from Insight Discovery that have scanned applications and licenses and so on and so forth. I've got some custom objects I've built out here around different business services in my environment and cost centers and all that kind of CI stuff you might want to build out in a CMDB. But what we're looking at here right now is my list of laptops in my CMDB, and I need to find one for Patsy. So what I want to show you here is just the data behind the system. And we'll say that I didn't go look in the system as an agent here like we're doing here on the WebEx, but instead I walked to the equipment room to do that. What I want to show you here is that we have several of these that are in production and one that's disposed. It's too old and ready to be disposed. But I don't actually have any that are free at the moment to assign to Patsy. So I'm going to try to work around that. So using my Scanstar application, with my barcode scanning application, I walk into with only my phone, in this case an Android handset, which I'm using some software to, I've got an actual phone here on my desk and I'm just using some software here to replicate that on my screen so y'all can see it. Um, so we're going to use some of the Scanstar modules. Now, I walk into that equipment room and I see a laptop sitting there that looks like it might be okay, but it's not where it should be with all of the ready to deliver laptops. And so I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see if that's one I can use. So what I'm going to do, sorry for the movement there. What I'm going to do is use my verify module, and I'm going to click into that. And here I choose the option to scan that laptop that I found sitting around in the equipment room. And I'm going to click my scan button, and then I'm going to simply scan that barcode. And when I do, I'll accept it. And you'll notice immediately it brings up that record from the CMDB, and I can review the model and so on and so forth. The important part here to notice is this was actually assigned to Tommy Tech to deliver, and he's about to take it to Curtis Customer. He just left it sitting there by accident and maybe headed off to the restroom or lunch or something, and confused me by leaving equipment around he shouldn't have. But I can see very quickly the status of this one that I've got in my hands, so that I know that I can't use that one. So what we're going to find out is I don't have any on the shelf in our equipment room, and what I need to do is check one other place we might have a laptop for Patsy, and that's on our loading dock. And I get out there, and sure enough, there's a brand new pallet of Dell laptops ready to be received. I can click into my Receive module here in Scanstar, and what I do when I receive new equipment from in the loading dock, for example, is choose a CI type, and these is fully configurable. The application can be configured to whatever CI types you have in your environment, but I'll say we're receiving some laptops here. And I'm going to choose a manufacturer. We'll say they came from Dell, and we'll say they're the new, I don't know, the Dell new 7470s. We'll say they're here in Dallas with me, and we'll show that these have just been received because I'm on the loading dock. And maybe this is when I also get a chance to enter a warranty date on these from the box they came in, for example. So I'll go ahead and enter a date there. Once I've entered all that key information that would be the same across all the stuff in this palette of Dell laptops, I can choose to scan and begin scanning those in one by one. And as I scan them, all this common information will be stored on each individual record with the unique barcodes that I've scanned. So I'm going to hit my scan button, and I'm going to scan in this new laptop that's on my loading dock, and I'm going to scan the barcode that I've stuck to the laptop. That's our company barcode, and I'm also going to scan the service tag here. Whoops! And I'm also going to scan well, gosh, I'm sorry about that. I'm also going to scan that service tag here. I tell you what, I'm going to just skip that part. We're going to go ahead and save that. Oops. Let's see what I've done here. You know what? I think I've clicked something incorrectly there on my, there we go. We'll go ahead and scan that first one in like we did. And now, oops, well, heavens, I see what I've done here. I apologize, folks. I am an iPhone guy, and I am having some serious issues here with my Android handset here. So I'm just going to put in. We'll say that I scanned that there. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and save that record, and you'll see right here from my handset that that's been saved. Now I'm going to toggle right over to my agent interface where I'm looking at the CMDB where y'all are looking at it. But as an agent, I'm really standing in the asset room, so I'm not able to see this. But I just wanted to show you, as I refresh here, we go from 9 laptops to 10, and we can see this new one that has just been received showed up right in the Insight repository here as a new item. So I'll take that laptop that I found that I know I can use for Patsy, and I'll do whatever configuration I need to do to it. Then I'm going to go to Patsy's desk with that new laptop, and again, I'm going to use Scanstar. Now this time, I'll move this back out where you can see it. This time I'm going to use our track module because we're about to move it from one location to another. So I'm going to use track, and I'm going to hit scan, and I'm going to scan that item in, and when that scan gets received, it's going to pull up that laptop that I'm just about to give to Patsy. We'll go ahead and take that out of the receive status and show it's in production. That's a configurable list, but we'll say we set it to in production when we give it to a user. And I'm going to, I keep saying Patsy, it's Caroline we're working with here. Caroline is the one I'm going to assign that to. And I'm going to hand my phone to Caroline, and we're going to ask Caroline to actually sign for that asset I've just delivered to her. And I'm going to click Save. And you'll notice from Scanstar that that's been saved. And again, I'm standing at Patsy's desk, so I don't have access to this particular to the Jira system in a web browser at the moment. But I'm going to go ahead and refresh here and just show you that now we've got that new laptop for Caroline in production, assigned to her and ready to go. And of course, I'd pick up her old laptop and scan it through and show it back in inventory as well, and that sort of thing. But that's the way that Scanstar can really help us interact with these asset items in the field. So I'm going to come back to my desk now, and now that I've delivered that to Patsy, and I'm going to go to my recent issues menu here, and we'll get back to that issue I was just working on for Patsy. And we'll say at this point it's been delivered and I can go ahead and resolve this issue. Now, when I do, I provide a resolution. It's a configurable list, but we'll say I'm done here. And maybe I'd want to follow up with one last comment here to Patsy, but I'll skip that at the moment. And once an issue is resolved, its status gets set to that, and it gets that resolution set. And that's the way the system knows to drop it off of any sort of ongoing issue reporting, so that resolved issues don't show up in reporting that you want on current active issues. Now, I mentioned that the feedback in the portal there gets rolled up into some reporting. We also have an option when you resolve issues to send out a survey to the customers to get feedback from them. If you do have surveys enabled, the system will send out a survey with a configurable question and a 5-point scale that folks can respond on. And so Caroline could get a survey here about how I did on her laptop, and that gets rolled up into some reporting. So just real quickly here on the reporting, we've got reports built into Jira Service Desk projects around workload, how my team, how work is spread across my team here, and how we're doing on SLAs, which in my system is really bad. The satisfaction reporting and these knowledge usage and effectiveness reporting based on how many times a knowledge base article has been related to an issue or used by a customer, or a customer said it was useful. And then some custom reporting around created versus resolved, and so on and so forth. And you can add new reports here as well. And any of these reports are those sort of drill down roll up reports, where on this created versus resolved, for example, I see there was one issue created today. I can click on that and see that one issue, and I can drill down into it and take action from there if I need to. So all the reporting is live and allows you to drill down into it to get right into the system. So I believe that's about what I had to show you today from an asset perspective in using Jira Service Desk to manage those transactional issues that come around incidents against assets, or service requests for new assets, or changes and problems related to assets or business services, and how you might use Scanstar to move those assets around between individuals and locations as you go. So, Dick, I believe that's about what I had today.
Okay.
Let's see if there's
some questions, right? Well, now would be a good time to ask a question. So just use that chat bot if you'd like to submit a question. And, Alan, I wanted to ask you a couple of things. You've been, of course, a remedy consultant. You've done a little bit of work with ServiceNow. And, of course, now we spent a number of years with Atlassian and Jira Service Desk. Mm-hmm. Any comparison between, or anything that comes to mind when you think of getting these different systems set up? Anything that pops out? Is Atlassian much easier to get up? Is the workflow a little bit easier to set up?
One of the beautiful things about Atlassian is all of the solutions, Service Desk included, is that they're really configurable and also intended to be used and configured. I know as a remedy developer for years and years, I would be on projects for maybe 9 months that stretched out to a year and a half trying to get incident management rolled out. We're doing that with Jira Service Desk in a matter of weeks, not months, because of the how well it's suited to the modern IT approach and how configurable it is. So we're seeing folks being able to set this up inside of just a matter of weeks and have a really productive tool that can then be revisited as business needs change and easily modified without having to have somebody come in and spend months doing that.
Okay. Um, Here's a question that came in. What is the database behind Insight? Is it SQL or what are the options there?
So Atlassian, all of the Atlassian solutions ultimately exist as a combination of an application server and a database. So Jira Service Desk on the back end in your environment would be really hosted in live in two places. The application server that is the Java application, the Jira Service Desk and all the Atlassian solutions are full Java applications. And then the database server that you point the application server to where the data and configuration is stored. You have many options around which databases to use there. All the major ones are supported: MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, SQL Server. And so you can decide whichever database makes sense for you to put the Jira application on. Then any add-ons that are added to Jira Service Desk or any of the Atlassian solutions end up just storing their data in that same database. So when you add Insight here to Jira, it ends up creating additional tables in the database that the Jira application server uses to store that Insight data. So it's all stored there locally and all together and can be reported on.
Okay. Another question here regarding discovery tools that are out there. I mean, a lot of organizations have something. They might have a spreadsheet or two that tracks some of their assets, but then they may have SCCM or maybe have another discovery tool like Landesk. If they're on the BMC side, it could be BMC Discovery. It could be client management. How do you get that data into the CMDB then?
So Insight itself sort of comes in two parts. The Insight Asset Management is the repository we've been looking at, the ability to create the CI types and group them and create attributes for them and define how you want your CMDB to be laid out. Then there is a tool called Insight Discovery that can be used to survey your environment using SMTP and those sort of back-end protocols that are able to ping your devices and gather information from them. That's automatically configured to dump into Insight Asset Management, the repository. However, if you don't want to use the Insight Discovery tool or already have one that you're using, there are several integration points with the CMDB. Any of those CMDB spaces have some options for imports that you can set them up either on a one-time or an ongoing basis by pointing them at a spreadsheet somewhere in your environment, if that's where you're keeping your stuff. You could simply have the Jira Service Desk Insight tool pointed at that spreadsheet, and it would keep the repository inside of Insight up to date with that spreadsheet. Or you can point it at a database table. So if you have your assets somewhere in a database, you can simply point the Insight Asset Management tool at that existing data, and it'll just make a copy of it you could refer to then from Jira issues like changes and service requests. And your master source of that would remain in your asset application, whatever that might be. But that way you could use the data in Jira.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Well, I think we've pretty much come to the end then. So again, Alan, thanks very much for a great job. There should be one final slide that you can put up here that gives an idea about how to contact RightStar. And if you'd like to see a little bit more detail, maybe a private demo, maybe you're interested in a Jira Service Desk lab where you can actually participate and do some configuration work on your own just to see how easy that is. That's something that we could set up. Or if you want to do it sort of in a group function, we can do that. Again, it's kind of like free training. We'd be happy to set that up for you. So there's a number of different ways to contact RightStar. So to sum up, again, we appreciate your time here. We hope you've taken something away that will benefit you. We do these things on a regular basis. The next one that we're doing, we're going to talk about IDLE 4, what's new, and specifically how do we handle some of the new principles in IDLE 4 to make sure that you're operating your service desk in a more agile fashion. Maybe you're doing more with collaboration. Maybe you're doing more with automation. Maybe you just want to try to keep it simple. I mean, when has IDLE been simple, right? Well, stay tuned for IDLE 4. Okay, so that's next month, and we hope you can join us then. So we'll go ahead and sign off now. Again, thank you all very much for attending. Thanks again, Alan, and we'll